Now what's this gonna be? You know how I played it all. That nigga burning G. All by his bread. Bitch, I'm all up by my bread. All by my bread. Bitch, I'm all up by my bread. All by my bread. Now what's this gonna be?
Welcome back to the PBC, Pelican Bay's Corner, where I give it to you fair and unbiased, raw and uncut. Some gonna like it and some ain't. That's just the way it go when it comes to this dog news, when it comes to this pitbull history. Some folk like it, some folk don't. It just is what it is. Today we're gonna touch on a couple topics and plus talk about this news around the board. But after we get into the news, we're gonna talk about the Rednose and the Blacknose pitbull. Does the Rednose come from the Blacknose pitbull? I'm gonna discuss that, But before I get into that, I want to say big thank you and big shout out to all the brothers and sisters down in the chat, everybody that been supporting the channel, you know what I'm saying, and doing what they gotta do to preserve this breed. First, we're gonna get into this news. We got one man from Alabama that caught 10 years for dog fighting charges. I gave y'all the article about 2 years ago. What happened in 2024? He was arrested with 70 some dogs down in Alabama and gave animal cruelty charges. They say he caught 10 years for dog fighting and firearm charges just over the past couple weeks, So we're going to get into that video, watch that article, and then we're going to get into another news article that I feel like it needs to be spoken about, and then we're going to get into the Rednose and Blacknose pit bull, a topic that I've seen brothers discussing on social media, So let's get into this. 10 years, brother got 10 years for 70 some dogs that they took from him, dog fighting charges and firearm charges.
A Jefferson County man will spend 10 years in federal prison for dog fighting and firearms charges. Now, we want to warn you, some of the pictures of the dogs may be really graphic and hard to watch. Authorities rescued nearly 80 dogs in Bessemer and Adger in April of 2024. Carlton Adams pleading guilty to the charges in January. The Department of Justice says the nearly 80 dogs were mostly rescued from a single person in a federal case. Investigators also found tools to train and keep dogs for fighting. Well, that included steroids, skin staplers, and modified treadmills to hold dogs in place for conditioning.
Now that's that, The next thing I want to speak about that needs to be spoken about is this 117 dogs found dead at an animal rescue shelter over the past week or so. They say they found 117 dead dogs. Not only were they dead dogs, they were intact dead dogs, and a lot of these dogs were found with bullet holes to the head, gunshot wounds, at an animal rescue shelter. Now, this needs to be spoken about, right? These animal shelters, they be the ones that be with PETA. They be the ones that be with the Humane Society. They be the ones that be up under these brothers' comments on Facebook whenever they get arrested for the dogs. These same kind of people be up under the comments making all these horrendous remarks when it comes to dogs. I just had a rescue, matter of fact, I just had a rescue commenting up under my dog when I said about me making a breeding. They commenting up under my dog saying, I need to go to hell. So-called Christian people, I need to go to hell because I made a breeding. These same people commenting up under these brothers, not only mine, these other brothers with pit bulls commenting up under they posts and different things, but they didn't comment up under that attorney from Houston that had sex with that boy dog. You see, it's a different thing when you're having sex. It's not a different thing. I'm gonna take that back. When we heard that the man was having sex with the dog, everybody's mind went to he was having sex with a female dog. He was having sex with a male dog, which don't make no difference. Disgusting is disgusting. You didn't have no Humane Society up under his post. You didn't have no news article even covering this topic in Houston. Every news article you seen about that dude from Houston that had sex with the dog was coming from Facebook, YouTube, or X, Twitter, one of them accounts. No news article. It was no WBTW, WHDX. It was none of that covered that article. That's the kind of world we living in today. You know, where Animal Humane Society, the PETA, and all them, they work with the law enforcement to roll up on these brothers' yards where they get arrested for drugs and dogs and call it dog fighting, right? They roll up and they take pride in taking the dogs off and claim they're going to somewhere they can be have a better life. Claim they're getting a better life. But I can't find old poor Shipley. That's the dog name that got raped in Houston, Texas. Yeah, he got raped. You know, for those who weren't paying attention, the wife of that family thought her husband was having sex with sex workers. So she went on the house camera to look at the video footage to see if he bringing sex workers to the house. But what she saw broke her heart because she saw her husband raping because it's unconsensual sex, the boy dog in the family, the male dog, which his name was Shipley. There's no female named Shipley. Now let me explain to my pet lovers out there real quick. A female dog goes to heat 2 times a year, maybe 3. That's the only time they can get pregnant, the only time they can really even have sex with another dog because their things swell up, you know, their vagina swell up and they can then partake in sex, having sex. They know when they say a dog in heat or you acting like a dog in heat and that type of stuff because of the smells they throwing off, another male dog knows it's time to have sex. But in this situation, it was a male dog that the man was having sex with, so that means he was screwing him in the asshole, busting him a new asshole. You know what I'm saying? And if he was having sex with a female dog and she wasn't in heat, he'd have been fucking her in the ass. Needless to say, he was arrested for having sex with the dog, and we ain't heard nothing else about the dog since then. You know, nothing else, period. No animal control, no animal humane society. They're not checking up on the dog. As far as we know, they put that dog down. It's not that dog's fault that he got raped. You know, nobody put any articles out outside of the Facebook groups, put a couple articles, the Twitter groups, but no main news outlets in Texas put anything out about that. Right? But like I said before, when them brothers got busted in Texas for that Operation Fight Club, the pitbull fighting bust, when they got busted, oh, you had all kind of articles up about them. When them 2 brothers from Texas and one of them got found out guilty not too long ago, when they got arrested for dog fighting, you had all kind of news outlets putting up articles about this stuff. But when the attorney got caught fucking the dog, nobody wants to write about that from Texas. Nobody wants to broadcast that news from Texas. Right? So now we got 117 dead dogs because these people, they always say they're taking the dogs from one place and put them in a better place. But I done gave y'all brothers and sisters news article after news article after news article. These dogs not going to a better place. Sometimes these dogs are going to a worse place than they was the first time. I done showed y'all plenty of rescues. These rescues, the only thing good about a rescue is they done figured out how to scam the system. Get government funding for these rescues. Get community help for these rescues. And the dogs, only if dogs can talk. If the dogs can talk, they would tell you, we're not being treated the way we're supposed to be treated at these rescues. But y'all steady funding these people. Just another glitch in the system. Learn how to get our taxpaying money to take care of some dogs they're not taking care of. You know, period. And when they say they got 117 intact dogs, which means they were not skeleton. They were still looking like just dead dogs in the dirt. They still was intact. They wasn't there long. You know, gunshot wounds. Why don't these rescues have, when the dog need to be put down, why don't you take them to the animal shelter and put them down humanely? Or have the medicine to do it humanely? You mean to tell me these dogs go from one situation to another situation to get shot and get buried? How do you have 117 intact Dogs, I gotta keep stressing, intact. You know, the dogs weren't decaying. The dogs weren't bones. You know, you leave a dog in the ground for a certain period of time, it just turns to bones. The insects get to him. The critters get to him. He's bones. These dogs were intact. Where's the Humane Society? Where's the PETA? PETA shows up everywhere, even to the places that sell our food. PETA is showing up there. Oh, they doing this to animals. People that's wearing fur coats. Oh, they doing this to animals. All these intact dogs with gunshot wounds in them, where PETA at? They're not gonna show up. The same way they didn't show up to save Brother Shipley, the dog that got screwed down there in Houston, Texas. Not the attorney, he's not our brother. The dog, I feel sorry for that dog. You know, straight up got raped over and over and over. And the attorney had enough power to push it under the rug in Texas. Not just Houston, the whole fucking Texas. Had enough power to push it under the rug. You know, it don't make no sense. 117 dead dogs. And if you listen to this video, I want you to listen to this video and we'll speak a little bit more about it when it's done. Listen to it. It's going to tell you, if we get evidence, we can make charges. We trying to get evidence. We trying to get evidence on this and on that. Can you imagine if that 100 and some dogs would have got found at somebody's house? Not even dead dogs. 100 living dogs found at somebody's house, pit bulls, right? Found at somebody's house that was caught selling drugs. He's a damn dog fighter, and they're gonna make him plead guilty to it. If he don't plead guilty to it and he get found guilty, you know, because 9 times out of 10, out of them 12 jurors, at least 10 of them gonna be tree huggers. If not all 12. Make him plead guilty to them dogs. Now you're in the system without no evidence. The only evidence for dog fighting, to charge these brothers with dog fighting, in my opinion, just my opinion, you need to catch these brothers in the act of dog fighting. Either on video, maybe they got a video on their phone they doing it. Maybe they got, you got informants and different things getting videos on the scene. They got videos that are undercover cops that's on the scene, you know. There's no real police work being done, but you claiming these brothers are dog fighting or these sisters are dog fighting because they got caught with drugs and pit bulls. Selling drugs do not make you a dog fighter. Selling drugs makes you a drug dealer. You know? Now, if you want to confiscate my dogs because I'm selling drugs, yeah, I can understand that. They're saying you bought dogs with the drug money. I can understand that. That's how they do your cars, and that's how they do all your other materials that you buy with when you so-called get caught selling drugs. I can understand that. But that don't make me a dog fighter. You know? Now we got 117 dogs found, shot, fully intact, buried, and they looking for evidence. But they wouldn't be acting that humble. They wouldn't be acting that trying to go by the laws if it was a brother with some pit bulls. Give him these charges and send him. Give him these charges and send him. If he take it to trial, that's him. If you plead guilty, now you're in the system for something you ain't even do. And they put it on you. You know? So listen to this video, like I said before, listen to this video and you're going to see what I'm talking about. How calm they're acting as far as putting charges. Nobody's charged yet and that type of stuff. And we'll talk about it when the video is done.
Stunning new information today in the investigation into a Northern California animal rescue facility. The remains of more than 100 dogs were found buried on the property last week, and hundreds more are still unaccounted for. ABC 7 Eyewitness News anchor Cameron Bopp is in the newsroom with the very latest from authorities on a story, Cameron, that has upset so many people.
Yes, it has, Dan. It's a story out of small-town Fortuna in Humboldt County, now making international headlines, a story we've been following for weeks here. The sheriff's office gave an update today on where the case stands as advocates push for charges and experts point to a bigger issue at hand. Bullet holes, blood spatter, hundreds of dog collars. Investigators are revealing more about the horrific scene they say they dug up at a self-proclaimed Northern California no-kill rescue.
The facts that have been uncovered are deeply disturbing.
The Humboldt County Sheriff shared new details Monday after investigators, including the FBI, excavated 117 dogs from apparent mass graves last week, many with apparent gunshot wounds.
If there is sufficient evidence to support violations of animal cruelty, fraud, conspiracy, or other applicable laws, the case will be submitted to the prosecution team.
Investigators say the rescue accepted hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars per dog from shelters and families, alleging many were killed to make room for more animals. No charges have been filed. ABC 7 Eyewitness News is not naming the rescue at this time. The numbers are staggering. Since January 2025, investigators say 918 dogs were transferred to the rescue. 116 were adopted. 71 are alive, leaving 731 dogs unaccounted for, which could include the 117 found dead. The rescue has been operating since 1998. Bay Area shelters sent dogs there for years before cutting ties after news of the investigation, which began after two animal advocates admitted to trespassing onto the property in April and digging up the first dog remains.
The no-kill label is complex.
USF animal law professor Matthew Liebman says true no-kill starts with reducing pet overpopulation through spaying, neutering, and adoption.
Holding oneself out as no kill, as we see in this case, is not a guarantee that animals aren't suffering or even that they're not being killed.
The rescue previously said it only euthanized animals suffering from terminal illness or posing a serious danger. Liebman says, if true, that would be appropriate.
Through the administration of appropriate drugs by someone who's appropriately trained and not in ways that are not approved of.
Like bullets.
Like bullets.
The investigation, now in its third month, drawing frustration from animal advocates.
We must balance the public's right to know with the constitutional and legal rights of everyone involved.
And this is also new today. The sheriff says those 117 dogs found buried are believed to have been buried between January and April of this year, giving us a bit of a clearer timeline. Investigators also found a rifle and spent shell casings all across the property, the rescue denying the allegations of a money-making scheme. In the newsroom, Cameron Bopp, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You know, 117 dogs, and if it was that way, with one of these brothers getting caught with drugs or one of these brothers getting caught with any other crimes, you know, it would have been a whole bunch of animal cruelty charges with it. You know, if not dog fighting, it depends on what breed of the dog it is. You know, but now let's get into this topic. Enough of the news. Let's get into this dog talk when we're talking about where does the red dog, the red-nosed pit bull come from? Does the red-nosed pit bull come from two black-nosed pit bulls? You know, I seen different brothers making comments up under the topic. You know, some far-fetched, some just no kind of educational guess to it. You know, no kind of, it's just brothers just saying stuff to hear themselves talk. But at the end of the day, you know, we got documentation proving that the old family Reds came from Ireland. The old family Reds came about way back in the days, you know, way back. And now, not only do you have the old family Reds, you have the Dudley Terriers, which were the pink skin nosed dogs, you know, which are your red nosed dogs. The Dudley Terriers. And the Dudley Terriers actually may date back further than the old family red dogs. Now, these dogs were way back before Kobe. These pit bulls, when some brothers were saying Kobe bought the pit bulls over here and this. Listen here, we have no documentation saying Mr. Kobe bought any pit bulls from Europe. We got documentation saying Mr. Kobe owned imported dogs. But none saying he came across on a boat with a pit bull at all. Pit bulls came across, we got documents of this saying they came in the Great Migration from Europe to America. People brought them dogs over and they traded dogs for goods, you know, bartered the dogs. There's documentation showing that. You know, But y'all be taking some of this information and going a little too far with it. Yeah, Mr. Kobe is one of the pioneers when it comes to this breed. You know, one of the pioneers. And I'm quite sure Mr. Kobe had some of the dogs that were first generation mixed bred dogs. Straight first generation from the English bull and the bull terrier. Or your English terrier and your bulldog. First generation crosses. I'm quite sure Mr. Kobe had some of them. But we don't have no documentation saying Mr. Kobe brought the dogs back to America. Or brought any dogs back to America. Second thing I want to say is, when you take two red noses, you don't get a black nosed dog. You can take two black noses and get a red nosed dog. Why is that? Why is that? When you like to say certain genes are stronger, or these genes are this, or these genes are that. Why can't you get a black nosed dog off of two red nosed dogs, but you can get a red nosed dog from two black nosed dogs? That means the red nosed genes is in the black nosed dog, but the black nosed genes ain't in the red nosed dog. Not only does it mean that, it means the red nosed genes are stronger than the black nosed genes dogs. Now, for any brother that may have gotten a black nosed dog off two red nosed dogs, it's going to be far to none. Far to none. To almost what you're saying is impossible. In today's time, we will say nothing is impossible, right? But in actuality, why don't you get it? Why don't you get two black dogs why don't you get any black nosed puppies from off two red nosed dogs? But you will get a red nose off two black dogs. Two black colored dogs or two black nosed dogs will give you a red nose. Because those genes are super strong. I've seen some brothers commenting on saying they wasn't strong. Or the red-nosed genes are just as strong as the black dogs. How black dogs take over stuff when you breed them, when you breed that black stuff. The red-nosed genes are strong. Now, I said this before when I was talking about my European bulldoggers. You don't got no European books, no European authors that wrote about what the Europeans brought up, what the Europeans bred since back in the 1850s and the 1840s and that type of stuff, mid 1800s. We don't got no books from the European authors saying about the dogs that they kept, not imported to America, exported to America, and brought back to Europe. No, we ain't talking about them. We talking about the dogs that stayed in Europe and they never left Europe. And the stories of the people who raised them dogs. You see, us as Americans, we did that dog just like we do a lot of other things. We take it and claim it as ours. We good at that in America. Taking something and claiming it, we did it, we the first ones with it, it's our shit, blah, blah, blah. The American pitbull terrier. Them dogs was already created before they came over here. Yeah, they was already created. That Dudley Terrier was a red-nosed pit bull already created before it came over here. But they called it the Dudley Terrier. We call it the red-nosed pit bull, the American pit bull terrier. The Old Family Red was already created before they came over here. The Old Family Red is so valuable because these dogs came from the old families of Ireland. Not in the old families of Ireland in the 1960s to 70s. We're talking about back in creation days when these dogs were created. Nobody got any documentation about what was the first color pit bull, nose-wise, black or red. There's no documentation showing you that. But what you do see is a bunch of old pictures taken when you see little people dressed up in all the old clothes holding a pit bull. and all that. You see more Blacknose dogs than you see Rednose. But that don't mean they was first. It just means what they had access to. You know? That's all it means, man. What they had access to. You know, and I always say, man, brothers need to study this breed, learn the breed. Man, get you a copy of that Pitbull encyclopedia. You know, get you a copy of that Pitbull encyclopedia back there. If you ain't got your copy yet, get it off Amazon. You know, it'll tell you some of the stuff about these red noses, these black nose dogs. You'll learn a lot more, and you'll have more education when it comes to these dogs. It's not saying it's the only education, but you'll have some more to where you can make educational comments and stuff like that. Educated comments, rather. You know what I'm saying? You won't be looking so dumb and stupid when you make these comments and shit when it comes to these breeds of dogs. You know? The red nose or the black nose pit bull. Which one came first? We don't know. Like I said, we don't got no documentation showing which dog came first. We just know that they say the English Terriers and the Bulldogs crossed and the old English Terriers or something, or the old English Bull Terriers and the Bulldogs crossed, and they made this breed what we call the pit bull. We pushed the narrative in America. We've pushed the narrative for over 100 years that we created the American Pit Bull Terrier, the name. We call it the American Pit Bull Terrier. The Pit Bull. But these dogs were created to bull bait, bear bait, fight wild, whatever they was doing with the wild animals and different things and hunting and all that type of stuff. But they were still in a pit then. Not no wooden square box like we do the fighting stuff in more modern times. But a pit area where they can be down from the crowd. So whether they was calling them American Pit Bull Terriers back then, we know they probably wasn't, but they was calling them pit dogs. I guarantee they was calling them pit dogs way before they came to America. But like I said, we take things, we claim it as ours. We got a bad habit of that in America. Claiming this shit as ours, and we not the creators of it. People been doing it way before we was doing it, but we'll say we the first ones with it. Now, I will say, there's proof, there's documents that we finessed it. When I say that, people don't understand what I'm speaking about. I'll say, when the breed came over here, we took the breed to another level. You know, we wasn't treating the breed like a mixed breed dog. We was treating the breed like a breed, like a purebred dog. Yeah, they came off this or they came off that, but we gonna take them and we gonna make them into these dogs, which we call the American Pit Bull Terriers. I will say, you know, we created the name as far as the American Pit Bull Terriers. But we didn't have to do anything to the dogs once they got here, besides outside of breeding the dogs and making more of them. They were already created. Same way I tell brothers several videos back, you can't take no bull terrier in today's time, mix it with a bulldog, and then think you're gonna call your puppies pit bulls. Yeah, you can do that because they say pit bulls is a blanket term. But you will not get the dogs that they had back in the days. You will not get them same dogs if you take a modern day bull terrier, mix it with a bulldog, and you'll get your puppies. You won't get the same dog. Because you have that group of people that think they can create it. When we get up here and we start talking about, oh, these dogs are mixed with this and that, and that's how they made. You have that group of people that think they can create this breed. Again, in modern day time. Don't work that way, man. So educate yourself about this breed, you know, before you knock anybody about the breed, before you get up here making these stupid ass comments about the breed. Whether they was Rednose or Blacknose, it's irrelevant at this point. It's irrelevant. But what you can get up there and argue about is ask yourself why your red noses ain't gonna produce no black dog. But your black dog's gonna produce a red nose. You breed a brown dog with a black mask, with a buckskin dog with a black mask, and you get you some red noses. Black dogs, solid black dogs with brown dogs with black masks, you get a red nose off the litter. Why? That's telling you that that red nose genes is somewhere back in them dogs and they could pop up in today's time, right? Red nose genes are super strong. It's showing you that that's some of the strongest genes of the pit bull out there. You know, some of the strongest genes. Just the same way they call the blue dogs. You think them people back in the late 1800s, early 1900s called them silver and dark colored gray dogs blue? Blue is blue. The same way y'all talk about that blue is the same way y'all talk about seal. You're trying to make seal a gray color and all that other type of stuff like that. Seal is brown copperish color. The same color that you see a seal in the water. Not saying it ain't no gray seals in the water. But the reason they made that seal, when you go to your papers that you got, and you try to turn in the color of your dog, and you say seal, you can't be talking about no blue dog. That's gonna be falsifying papers. A seal color dog on a registry that recognizes seal as a color, seal is gonna be your brown copperish color. Not like copper wire, but more like a copper penny. Kind of darker, maybe a little red tone to it. Just like a seal that you see in the water. When you look at a seal in the water, you might get other colors. Like I said, you may have a white seal. But the majority of the seals that you see in the water are that brown color. And that's what the color they mean when they say seal. But in today's time, we like to say seal means about 7 different colors. To try to cater to what we believe, and our dog is full this and our dog is full that. Merle. I don't care if you got a pocket pit, XL bully, micro bully, pit bull, standard size pit bull. If you got a Merle dog, your dog got Catahoula in the background. Or some type of Australian sheepdog in the background. If you got Merle. Those dogs are naturally Merle. Your pit bull or your bull bred dog is not a natural Merle color dog. So if you got any dog with a bull breed to it, like I said, micros, exotics, any type of bull breed dog or standard pit bull, and it's Merle, you got some Catahoula hound dog in that dog. Or Australian herding dogs in that dog. You know, yeah, you got some of that in there. You see these dogs that's white and they full with spots. Pit bulls I'm talking about. They white and you can see up under their actual white fur, you can see their whole body is layered with little black dots. Make them look like little spots. That's hound dog in the background or that's Dalmatian in the background. One or the other. One or the other. Now ADBA not gonna recognize the Merle, but they gonna recognize that white with them spots all on it. You know, they gonna recognize that. You gotta use common sense, man. When it come to hound dog looking pit bulls, stop blaming everything on Barracuda. Mayday. Mayday ain't the only hound dog looking pit bull out there. Every single bloodline out there got a hound dog looking dog in that particular strain of dogs. From Eli, the Jeep, the Red Boy, the Bolio, to damn Rascal, whatever you, Tudor stuff, Mr. Kobe stuff. Now, Mr. Kobe dogs didn't really look like hound dogs. When you start going back, and I'm talking about Mr. J.P. Kobe from back in the days, his dog looked more like the Bulldogs. He didn't have hound dog looking dogs. The further you came up in modern day time, after the dogs was here on American soil, is when you start getting the dogs that look like hound dogs. You know? That ain't no coincidence. But that's something y'all need to stop just trying to put on the Mayday dogs and to say all the pit bulls got hound dog in it, one way or another. You know? And I mean, it just is what it is, man. You know, and this ain't stuff, you don't gotta have documentation to see that. This is common sense when you look at the damn dog. That dog, they got hound dog in it. I don't care what they say. That's what they like to say about Mayday and the Barracuda dogs. Oh, we got all them dogs got hound dog in it. You know? Now, this is what I want to ask y'all while we talking about color as well. I seen the grayish color Boudreaux dogs that we talked about in the past. Now my thing is, what would ADBA recognize that dog as? When you try to register a dog like that up with ADBA, what color are they gonna call that dog on his papers? Because they don't got a color spot for that right now. Now I bred these black dogs and I got a gray dog. Is ADBA gonna recognize that dog? Does ADBA recognize the blues that Belling's kennels was pumping off? You know, because they pumped off a lot of blues as well. Does ADBA recognize those dogs? The color. Why the color is not on the registration sheet? You got all these other colors, but you don't got no blue. You know, you don't got Merle. When it comes to the black and white pictures that we look at from the old pit bull pictures across America, you know, in different places, we don't really see as many red noses. Maybe they wasn't easily, you know, you couldn't easily come by them the way you could come by some of the other dogs. You know? But they date back just as far as the Blacknose dogs in the beginning. You know, like I said, you don't have one European brother that gave us a story about these pit bulls in the late 1800s in Europe. Who was raising the pit bulls in the 1900s in Europe? The mid 1900s, 1930, 40, 50, 60. We don't got no stories, no books about none of them brothers that were raising pit bulls in the 1900s in Europe. Every story that we got about a European pit bull is because they took the dog from America back to Europe. Oh, these dogs went in the 80s, these dogs went in the 90s, these dogs went in the 2000s. You don't got no 1890 dog stories, 1910 dog stories. You know, when we got the stories from Mr. Lightner, Mr. Kobe, you know what I'm saying, and all the other pioneers of the breed here in America, you don't got no stories about none of them brothers from Europe. You would think there would be at least one author, European author, that would have gave all of Europe some stories about this breed. This breed is such a popular breed in Europe, so popular in Europe, but they don't have no literature from Europe made by the people in Europe with these dogs from the beginning of time when these dogs was created. So like I said, man, I'm just going, like I say, y'all stay safe out there. Educate yourself when it comes to this breed. Don't just go by and don't just get your education from social media. You know what I'm saying? Don't just get your education from the Facebook posts that these brothers posting. You know, read, man. You know, they say if you want to keep something from people, put it in the book. You know, and a lot of people won't read it. You know, read. Use your common sense when it comes to this breed. And preserve the breed the right way. Y'all stay safe out there. Y'all stay legal out there. And remember where you got it from first, man. The PBC, Pelican Bay's Corner, where I give it to you. Fair and unbiased, raw and uncut. They can't do it like the Bay. The Bay do it like no other. You know what I'm saying? We be unique with this thing when we doing this thing out here, man. So it is what it is. Like I said, y'all stay safe, and I'm out.